Welcome to New Earth Activations with Luminara. Sorry about all the noise in the background, but people are out having fun for the 4th of July. So I'm gonna just get out of the way so I can't hear the music that played it so loud. I was hoping to get out earlier today, but it's a little difficult for me with my arm being in cast. So I'm doing the best I can with one arm. So if you just have patience with me, I'll put these out. I like to put them out when after everybody goes to sleep or while everybody's sleeping because it's peaceful then. There's none of this racket going on in the background. So, I'm all the way in the backyard here by the woods, and you could still hear the music. I think maybe it's better if we do an activation later when all this calms down, but this way you could see what's happening here. It's like the quality of life has gone out the window when they decided to clear cut and build houses and high rises right next to each other where you can look in other people's windows. That was just pure greed. That wasn't thinking about the planet. That wasn't thinking about what was best for the planet. That wasn't thinking about what was best for the wildlife. And it certainly wasn't thinking about what was best for people. And you see, this is, I don't really think these loud sounds for the fireworks do any good. They scare the living daylights out of the wildlife. And if it does that, they should be outlawed and illegal. I feel that instead of fireworks, that all of those groups that are really looking after others who lost everything to a war, or that lost everything to an earthquake or whatever natural disaster there is, and those that and for the wildlife as well. Like in DMV, they have license plates where you can choose to buy if you're going to support the marine wildlife or buy an ordinary, average, cheap license plate. I feel that maybe these organizations who are doing such a great job in supporting others and supporting nature and the wildlife, if they would make it more available to people in the DMV and in the supermarkets, that would be a better use of money rather than wasting it on a firework that frightens animals. Now, a lot of people might not like it that I said that, but I'm not here to care what anybody thinks. What anybody thinks is none of my business. But what I am concerned about is the quality of life for others, as well as nature and as well as the wildlife. Now, because of my wrist and I'm in a cast, I've been in a cast. I fell, I think it was on a Wednesday. I think it was June 17th. I couldn't drag myself to the emergency room until Saturday. That's Saturday. And then I went to see a specialist on Monday and Tuesday, in which they told me I would need surgery and they would put pins and a plate in my wrist. Now, my wrist is, from my fingers to past my elbow, it's bright yellow and green, and it's swollen. And my fingers, I have to now try to exercise so that they're moving and not permanently, in the position they were when I fell. I have to stretch them and get them to move again, but when I do that, I feel it on my wrist. I have cracks in 3 places, so I feel pains all around my arm. I fell on my elbows. I really fell hard. And, I'm doing this without any painkillers. I'm doing this without any pharmaceutical medicine. I'm doing this without any, when I went to the emergency room, I refused treatment. She asked me if I wanted her to snap it back into place. I said no. I actually panicked while I was there. I was worried about the x-ray, because I know what an x-ray does to a bunny. So if an x-ray does that to a bunny, what's it doing to people who do get an x-ray? But I needed to know because my hand was dangling and falling to the side, and it was hurting. And the way the hospital had wrapped it up was really not much support at all. It was a bandage and then some kind of plate wrapped in tinfoil, and then another bandage with a sling. And that was it. And then when I went to the specialist, we did another x-ray. The x-ray was much better than the one in the emergency room. The emergency room wasn't even clear, because I had a friend look at it and they couldn't even make sense of it. They couldn't even get it to open. So we got a new x-ray with the specialist. Excellent, could see it. And then they wrapped it up and then made a plaster cast. But I never scheduled the surgery. I was just too tired and was really freaked out by the idea of pins and a plate being put in my arm, and what is it going to look like afterwards? Is there going to be a scar? And I just didn't want to do that. And still I'm back and forth with it. So, my elbows hurt. It's hard to sleep. It's hard to sit up. It's really hard to get comfortable. And it's a pain in the ass to take a shower, because I have to wrap it up before I get into the shower. And then I've got to unwrap it when I get out of the shower, and it's drag. I never expected that at this point in my life that this would have happened to me. But it's out with the old and in with the new, so I guess what will be will be. And I guess whatever was not, that was stuck or wasn't flowing as smoothly as I thought it was, I guess that needed to happen. So when you're doing this, when you're doing these activations, the whole point of you breathing is to let the energy flow through you. That's why you are still in your mind. You have to get out of the way. And once you do that, you're able to receive. Now, it'll go right to where you most need it. And it will give you what you most need each and every time you do these activations. And so it's really imperative that you sit with your emotions if you're out of sorts or you're anything other than living your joy, living your bliss. And it's really important that you pay attention to how you feel, because your feelings never lie. You want to tune into that. So that you can allow the activation to do its work. And you don't stuff it down and bury it. You let it flow through you so you can be rid of it. I know I've been doing this for some time. And if you wanting to lose the word fear from your vocabulary, because that will prolong things. Just be patient with yourself, have compassion for yourself, trust God, trust Jesus, trust in the universe, trust in your guides, trust in your higher self. And keep doing the activations. Because this isn't going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week or a 10-day workshop. That might be the start of it. However, it all depends on you. It all depends on your heart. If you're listening and following your heart and you're trusting in your gut, in your feeling. And if you think you can't go deeper, oh, you most certainly can. It all depends on how far you want to take it. Everybody who is out there doing this has been through it. So we know. And if it were that easy for me, and it could have happened that fast for me, it would have. Not saying that it couldn't happen that fast for you, but I don't know how far you're looking to go or how deep you're looking to go and how far you're willing to go. That's up to you. And I hope I'm not saying too much, because I have a tendency to say too much when I start talking. That's why lots of times I just jump on and just do the activations, so I don't get myself into any trouble for saying something that I shouldn't have said, or said too much, or didn't say enough of. And with my hand in a cast, it's very uncomfortable. So I'm continuing to do these activations all through that. I'm not going to let some stupid injury stop me. It never did before. I'm the type of person where at one point I worked out obsessively, and I was riding a bike in my socks, and this was an indoor bike. It's brand new, and I wanted to stop the pedals from spinning, wasn't thinking, and I went to stop it with the top of my foot. I got a hairline fracture, went to the hospital. They misdiagnosed it as a sprain, so, oh well, it's just a sprain. I'm going to keep working out. I worked out even harder just because it was a sprain. I didn't think anything of it, and probably added insult to injury, and, hurt a little more. And so then I had to go to a specialist, and I was put in a cast for 6 weeks. But just because I'm injured, I didn't stop working out. But if you're working out and have never done anything like this before, well, what I had to do when I started, I had to, like Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, had a talk with himself. I had to have a talk with myself, just to tell my body, being that I trained it so well, I was constantly active every single day, trying to keep my health under control, and doing all sorts of things to stay fit and toned and to keep an asthma attack away. And I wouldn't go to sleep unless I completed everything I wanted to complete physically. So I was that out of control. I was doing it every single day. And then when I started this, I had to sit down with my body and say, okay, we're going to do this now. And it was really hard for me to do that, to sit still. Even through the session, the activations or meditations that I was doing, I still in the middle of it would have to jump up and start moving around. it took me a long time to sit still. It took me a long time to learn how to breathe too. Because I didn't know at times I was holding my breath. I didn't even know I was doing that. So with patience and practice, you'll get there. But if you did it backwards like I did it, you want to sit down with yourself and see what your heart says. So I think I'm going to end it here because I'm getting bit by mosquitoes. And once it settles down and gets quiet, if I don't fall asleep, I'll do an activation for you. If I do, I apologize and I will do it tomorrow. If you have any questions or any comments or anything you care to share, you can send to my email. Please like, share, and subscribe. The more people this reaches, the better. If you'd like me to do an energy reading, send me a photo. And you can send it to reinadhabsburg@gmail.com. And I'll see you next time.